Exploring abandoned battery sites is fun, but does have disadvantages. For example, if like us you're not 100% sure what you're looking at, then sometimes you can overlook interesting or important stuff. Find out how we put it into perspective on this episode of Battery Charge. Hello and welcome to episode 5 of Battery Charge. Derelict sites are a bit like puzzles with some of the pieces missing. You don't get the whole picture. So in a sense, you don't truly get to know what a location was like back in the day. A good way to consolidate your understanding is to research and spot the similarities and differences, or in our case, take a guided tour of a coastal battery.
Morning, you join us at today's episode of the Battery Charge at St Anthony's Head, where we'll soon be doing a guided tour of the battery here.
The tour is provided by the National Trust and they've done a really good job at maintaining this battery. Hopefully we'll be able to see what this battery was like in comparison to the other locations that we've been to on the series.
For further information from the National Trust, please visit the website using the link below.
Well, without further ado, let's take a look around this site.
I think we should say from the off that this episode is not a carbon copy of the tour.
That's right, Gunny. If people want the experience, then the best way is to book a tour.
Let's start with the basic information we have learned from these handy information boards.
Good plan. St Anthony Head Battery.
Not to be mistaken for the guy from the 80s NASCAR adverts or Giles from Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Nope, as in 2-gun emplacement battery was constructed in 1897 and decommissioned in 1952.
Confusingly though, the date on the magazine says 1904.
Presumably, that's when the magazine was finalised and the battery was considered as completed.
So at this point, now we are on the tour, finding out about the auxiliary buildings. Did you know you can stay here on holiday?
Really?
Just search on Google for the National Trust holidays at St Anthony Cornwall and you could spend a night in the officers' quarters.
I'm searching now. Fascinating.
Classic example of a fortified coastal defence. A good vantage point dug into the hillside overlooking the cliffs.
Agreed, Gunny. This battery is surprisingly similar to Lentney we visited in episode 1.
Not surprising. Remember, Mike, these were constructed in the same era and have a uniform design principle. Sources suggest a simple design means consistent construction methods and ease of use. There is, however, a downside.
Like we discovered in episode 2.
Correct. If eventually your opponent adopts a strategy to effectively counter the defence, then it could mean all similar defence batteries could be rendered useless in a single stroke.
Very good, isn't it? But the shell lockers are much bigger.
We've just been told that these concrete pillars are the remains of the gun cover to protect from aerial attack.
The cartridge hoist has been completely redone. It's marvellous. You've got all the electrics and stuff like that there.
So if you take a look here, we've got what we've just heard is the remains of mag slip. So yeah, this is World War II electronics. Fantastic.
Here we have what looks like some modified electrical points, possibly for controlling.
I would guess say that would be where mag slip would interact with the gun.
It's possible, yeah.
As well as the gun in there.
Well, the cables could have come down here from in there. That's quite impressive. Never expected to see that. Here we have a operational shell hoist. This should be interesting.
With it.
That's right. We came across this in episode 1. Check it out in the link below.
Right.
We've just found out that after decommission, the gun emplacements were filled in, like the one you see here.
However, in 2012, the other gun emplacement was excavated and the battery site revamped as a National Trust heritage site.
Check out the link in the description to see the online PDF of Unlocking Our Coastal Heritage Project.
A cracking read about how the team restored parts of St Anthony's Head Battery to its former glory.
Here we've got a few benches here set up for the gunners. How are you finding it?
It's very informative so far, the tour. Here we have a map of the battery and its key features. I like how the National Trust have labelled all the structures just so you know what you're looking at. Take a look at this magazine. 2 stairs into a terrace ditch, a good layer of concrete and dirt on top.
Presumably, the design of the ditch reduces the profile and therefore the chances of it getting hit.
Could be.
This walkway on top of the magazine makes it easy to scamper from one gun emplacement to the other. We've just found out that these curved metal poles are called derricks.
Derricks are simple crane arms for moving heavy objects up and down.
Mr. Howarth, who was a very canny Yorkshireman, and like most people from Yorkshire, know how to make a pound go a long way. Is that right? Correct. Yeah. It's like, how much? And Mr. Howarth made a fortune, actually made his wealth from designing these ventilation systems.
That's impressive.
Right, welcome to the shell store. And identically, the other side was an identical shell store to this one.
We've just been told that this room is a cordite store.
This room looks virtually identical to the explosive store at Lentley Battery.
We've been told that the cartridges were put here because this is the safest part of the magazine.
The room feels cool and dry.
A very good combination for storing explosives. But this room may not have stood up to direct hits from the heavy World War II bombs.
We've just found out that originally these windows had candles in to provide light inside the magazine.
So, I was right. In episode 2, this changing area was also a security checkpoint area.
Indeed you were, Gunny, and according to this original poster, soldiers were searched before being allowed anywhere near the cordite.
No matches, no lighters, no sparks, which is why they wore non-static clothes, a bit like anti-flash gear.
That's brilliant. Shifting. We've just found out that the Home Guard was stationed at this battery.
Home Guard were trained to operate these batteries alongside regular artillery soldiers.
Don't panic!
I think I spotted a ramrod. They certainly don't like it up them. They used that, however, to stuff ammunition into the breech.
Let's talk firepower, Gunny.
Okay, Mike, according to our sources, in 1897, the battery was armed with 2 6-inch caliber Mach 6 breech loaders. And in 1939, these were upgraded to the 6-inch Mach 7 BL gun that we've come to know and love.
Why the change? I mean, what's the difference?
Well, Mike, it could be that the guns were replaced in favour of newer models.
Ah, a bit like a mobile phone upgrade.
Essentially, some sources suggest minor modifications to upgrade the gun would make the shell go further, or simplifying the breech mechanism would make for quicker firing.
All necessary benefits when in action. According to the tour, a well-trained gun crew could fire about 10 to 12 rounds a minute.
Lordy, that even sounds knackering, hence why they had 2 crews for each gun. They could take over from each other when one crew got tired.
Which is surprising, isn't it?
Well, yeah, because you're going to have the charges coming in.
More clothing. They didn't have to take the same safety precautions as the soldiers working with the cordite panel. Because it was partly because the will let you know, or somebody will go out.
The tour claims this site has the only working shell hoist of this design in the country.
Seeing is believing, Gunny. It certainly works. I haven't broken it yet.
See?
Come on, get your muscles going.
That's right, you can do it a bit faster, sir. A bit pedestrian.
They're all waiting for there's this warship out in the bay, isn't there?
That's right, yeah. Someone might be shouting at you at this point, put you back into it. But as you're a visitor, we won't do that.
Would there be another bloke on the other side helping?
Yeah,
or was it literally just one person?
Yeah, it's literally one person. They will take it in turn.
Ah, okay. That's where my shell ended up, all the way up there. That's brilliant. Is that loader spring loaded?
Yeah. And he's gone from what was the Second World War about to kind of like really being fascinated with it.
Just found out that this is one of the cartridge hoists right here. We've got the issue hatch here, which is fantastic. We just found out about this, and yeah, these have all been restored thanks to National Trust. This is a fantastic tour so far. So we're going down to the battery observation post. Over to you.
Observation post, here we come.
Penley Point is definitely a lot a more original, but I'd imagine it's something like that.
Well, fair, that's a much better return, isn't it? Because you've got to get it so fast.
Yeah. Apparently, this battery was put here to defend the mouth of the River Fowl, in conjunction with coastal defences at Pendennis and St Mawes.
The tour mentions Falmouth is an important harbour for ship construction and trade.
They also highlighted the important work carried out here during Operation Overlord and D-Day in World War II. So we've been on this fantastic tour by the National Trust, by William and Jaun-Paul here, who have been our tour guides. Thank you ever so much for showing us around. It's been a really good opportunity, and please do visit the National Trust website and book on to their tour. It's really well worth it. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Join us next time on the next episode of Battery Charge, where we're going to be having a look at the defences of Pendennis Castle. Until next time.
On reflection, how was the tour?
It was good, Roscoe. Over an hour and a half long with some really good information on the location.
And what did you learn?
That a Yorkshireman called Mr. Howarth painted some rotating vent pipes to keep the magazine cool and dry.
Is that all?
Lord no, we found out so much more.
For example?
For example, we came across a dressing area, sort of a changing room inside the magazine. This is where the guys who dealt with the powder changed into anti-flash gear. Now in episode 2, we came across a similar location to this in a magazine, but we could only surmise what it was used for.
Now you know.
Now we know.
What about the shell hoist?
Oh, fantastic, Roscoe. Really great fun to have a go and see operational, yeah.
Check out the link for episode 1 in the description below. Hashtag some sort of big bicycle chain.
Absolutely. Really hard work.
What else did you learn?
Let's see. In episode 1, there was an area that I thought was for shelving. It was in fact an area with a great big long table for putting the ammunition on, shells, etc. We also found out that these particular World War II guns were controlled by an electronic system called mag-slip.
Quite a few knowing nods between you and Gunny.
Absolutely, yeah. It felt reassuring that the guys who were giving the tour were also sharing the same information that we've used from our sources and references.
Sounds positive across the board. Be honest, were there any aspects of the tour you didn't like or think they could have changed?
I think the tour was great. That said, I'm not a tour expert or a critic. However, if I had to be critical, in my opinion, I would say that I think some of the information may have been a little bit repetitive, and some areas that we visited felt cut a little bit too short, and some of it felt maybe a little bit overrun.
I guess that's only natural with the time constraints and group questions.
Absolutely. These guys are volunteers and they work really hard to deliver.
So these guys don't get paid for the tours?
No, the donations go towards the upkeep and hopefully getting an actual gun reinstalled at the battery site. Best of luck to them.
And it's all through public donations, so please visit the website, book a tour, and a huge thank you to the National Trust volunteers Jaun-Paul and William. Keep up the good work. Join us next time on Battery Charge as we take a look at the batteries of Pendennis Castle.
Until next time, goodbye.